All right, down the rabbit hole we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're if you're looking for something interesting, this is going to be the video for you. Interesting, hopefully educational and insightful. So, we've got a couple things to talk about. Obviously, the Trump assassination attempt yesterday. I don't know what exactly to make of it just yet, but it is interesting to see the facts that have bared out just so far today. Now, I want to make it clear that on September 11th, this was Time Magazine's cover, okay? So, obviously, whatever's going on, these people will tell you what's going to happen before it happens, right? That's what actually happens. They're not prophesying, they're giving you exactly what's going to happen before it happens, because if anybody does not know, Trump was assassinated at the golf course. Well, he was attempted assassination was at the golf course yesterday, September 15th, okay? Now, we've got a lot of stuff to go into today, so first of all, I found this lady on YouTube here, or I'm sorry, on X here. She has got all of the information on this alleged shooter's information, Ryan Routh. Okay, now Ryan Routh allegedly has been in the CIA. He has allegedly been a part of the recruitment process for Ukraine. Allegedly, I don't know for sure. Nobody really knows too much about what's happening at this point. But we can take a look here at some of these posts that he's got. It is important to note that all of his social media was completely wiped yesterday. All right, all of his social media was completely wiped. And you can see that it looks like he's trying to rally the troops up for some reason, and he's trying to, for some reason, recruit people, and it's for a bunch of different kinds of wars. Okay, like who knows what's going on exactly. But some of the other stuff here, and I want to show you guys this before we go on, because we've got some other stuff to talk about. We're not going to just talk about this. We're going to talk about the Rothschilds. We're going to talk about the Vanderbilts. We're going to talk about what's to come, potential World War III stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. So, and hopefully the microphone isn't too bad. There might be an echo a little bit, but if there is, I hope it's not too bad. But bear with me for that. So this lady here on X, she got all of this guy's socials archived before they wiped it out. And who are they? Well, somebody, either the government or either the leaders of certain social media groups, etc., or somebody else reported him. Like something happened, but she was fortunately enough, close enough to the news, to hear the news about it, that she was able to get all this information. So you can see that this guy was like pretty active in DC. In DC to provide soldiers for the war effort. Okay. He's got, well, let's see what he's got to say here.
Most wonder what I'm doing in Ukraine. This is about a center to help people when they come from other countries around the world to have a location, someone to talk to as a greeting committee to get them in the location that they need to be. So that's the whole focus of this project, is to help foreigners be as useful as possible.
Okay. Well, he didn't have much to say there. Okay. This lady says, sorry, this is all just disjointed. I have tons of tabs open, and so she's just going through it, not in any particular order. So it looks like he's got that's his high school photo. Okay. Well, what is this? This looks interesting. World help. it's just kind of a weird. Looks like he's wearing the same thing over again. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think looking at this? I mean, of course he's got blue hair. Why is it always the people with blue hair, the crazy liberals, that always got blue hair that are the craziest? I mean, this is just nuts. And apparently, he was also a Democratic sympathizer and a Ukraine sympathizer who also was a Taylor Swift fan. I had somebody in the Regal Change Academy group message me today. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. He sent me what Ryan Routh's one of his socials said. Let me see if I can show you guys here. Fellow Swifties, we must vote out Donald Trump in November. Oh, it was on Truth Social as well. It wasn't even... Yeah, so we knew he was trouble when he walked in. So that was from 2020. So this guy is obviously a freaking pussy. and a feminist. And every man that I've known that is as a feminist is... He's got something crazy going on in his mind. Okay, now let's take a look at the update for the recent press conference on the second assassination attempt and what the Secret Service has to say.
Another geopolitical event that could put the United States into a kinetic conflict or some other issue that may result in additional responsibilities and protectees of the United States Secret Service.
A kinetic conflict. What does that kind of sound like to you guys? That kind of sounds like World War III to me. This is insane. A geopolitical event. So, this is it, guys. We're in whatever phase they've got next. It's the real deal. And I have a feeling a lot of this is going to have to go around the election. And look, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm just not a politics fan in general, to be honest. I don't like politics of any kind. But we've got to let people know that this is the real deal. And this does seem like they're hyping up an imminent war with other countries around the world. And why is that? Well, because if there's more war, there's more money. Times of peace don't always have a lot of quick money. War creates quick money, and conflict creates you, the person that is watching this video, to stay in spiritual oppression so that you don't get to rise up and go above and beyond what you know that you're capable of. Now, why is this all important? Well, if nobody's heard of the Rothschilds or the Vanderbilts, let's take a look here and just get a brief introduction to these two families, okay?
In the past, the Vanderbilts and the Rothschilds, enormously wealthy, enormously successful, and took two very different paths with two very different results. And again, this is written up in our book. And the Vanderbilts. Family history was recently captured in a very interesting book called The Fall of the House of Vanderbilt, where they had something like 10 giant mansions on Fifth Avenue and enormous wealth. And that money's all gone. All gone. There was a recent family gathering where, by report, I'm not sure this is statistically correct, there was not a single millionaire there. And these were people who had just enormous wealth. In fact, that famous comment where someone asked, how much does it cost to maintain a racing yacht for the equivalent of the America's Cup? The answer was given by then Commodore Vanderbilt, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Their wealth is gone. And the Rothschilds, the patriarch of the family, sent 5 sons to 5 different destinations to try to preserve the family. Brilliant risk management. And some of those branches are still prospering today. The Rothschilds in France, the Rothschilds in Switzerland, the Rothschilds in the UK are doing very well. And the essential difference between the two is that the Rothschilds focus more on values and the integrated nature of family wealth management and less purely on the money. So ironically, if you look at families that put all their focus on the financial side of wealth, they're less likely to keep their wealth together than families that focus on values, family harmony, integrity, philosophy of wealth, and putting together multi-generational strategies that will keep their wealth together and keep the family prospering across generations and through multiple crises.
Okay, so you guys understood that. Anybody that's seen Game of Thrones, you can think about it like this. At least this is the way that I think about it. The Vanderbilts are like the Lannisters. Okay, money and gold, like it's all about the wealth. Whereas the Rothschilds, they are more like I don't know exactly, some other house in Game of Thrones, specifically like House Tarly or whatever, the Rose house. The name of it escapes me this time, but they're more about longevity. They're more about actual resources being had and keeping the family strength intact. So that's the way that I think about it. None of these families, by the way, are like the Starks. Like the Starks are actually honorable, and they're actually a long, noble household. None of these families are noble. Okay, they're not noble. They are owners, and you're owned by them. All hail Google, all hail whatever, right? That's what we have to say around here. So why is this all important? Well, let's take a look at how the Rothschild family, because you can see here, the Rothschild family is a wealthy Jewish noble banking family, originally from Frankfurt. So they created the modern ways of banking, right? Like there's a reason why there's so many banks in the world nowadays, because the Rothschilds, like they learned how to make money off of banks, off of a banking system, and a lot of the banking system is now based off of this. But supposedly, allegedly, the Rothschild family claims that his family created modern Israel. Okay, now let's hear what they have to say for a little bit here.
Promising to do everything within their power to provide land for the creation of Israel. That letter redesigned the map of the world, and if you need proof, we have a copy of that letter.
November the 2nd, 1917. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet.
So it's possibly the most famous letter in modern Jewish history, and it begins with 3 words. Dear Lord Rothschild.
That letter, nicknamed the Balfour Declaration, is proof that it was the Rothschild family that created Israel. But
mind blown, right? Mind blown.
There's even more evidence. In this interview, the head of the Rothschild family proudly explains how his ancestors created Israel.
And it all kind of starts to make sense, huh? It kind of starts to make sense, because I'm not going to make any specific claims here. I'm going to speak, and I want to make a disclaimer as well, I don't own any of these, these materials. I don't know if they're copyrighted or anything like that, but I don't own any of this. This is all just freely available on the internet, and so I invoke my disclaimer notice there. But so if this is true, and all the stuff that we hear about the Jews nowadays, of the Jews controlling the world, it kind of starts to make sense, huh? I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but I'm just giving you guys some food for thought here. Because if the Rothschild is a Jewish family one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful family in the world, who nobody really knows about them. Like, that's the thing, right? They want you to focus on the celebrities. They want you to focus on the presidents. They want you to focus on all of these people that are supposed to be like representing you. Meanwhile, people like this are behind the scenes actually conducting and making moves. Okay?
The viewer begins by asking the question that was on everyone's mind.
Why was it that this letter was sent by the Foreign Secretary to your great-uncle Walter?
The reason is obvious, because it was the Rothschilds' money, power, and influence that made the British government fall in line. Years later, Britain kept their promise to the Rothschilds and provided a large piece of land to start Israel. And in May 1948, the State of Israel was officially created. Although this was good news, the Rothschilds were just getting started. What the Rothschilds did next was even more impressive. They invested millions of dollars into Israel, building schools, roads, and everything needed to turn that piece of land into a beautiful country. James Rothschild single-handedly paid for Israel's Congress building, while Dorothy D. Rothschild paid
If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will.
for Israel's Supreme Court building. However, the more...
And if that doesn't tell you anything, I really don't know what to tell you, man. So let's take a look at a little bit about the history of the family, okay? Now, they possessed one of the largest private fortunes in the world. They created houses, gardens, great collections, and have become a great significant part of the heritage of Europe, okay? So originally what happened was, and these are now like, this is a family philanthropy, right? But originally what happened was that these, like, there was one man who had 5 children, and then they set up banking systems in certain areas across Europe hundreds of years ago. And that's how they began their fortune. That's how they began to make money, the way that they now have great influence over the world. Okay, this is all connected. Okay, this is all connected. We're going in deep here. I hope you guys are just soaking in like a sponge this kind of information right now. Just taking it in and just going with it, seeing where we're going. Now, I do want to get a little bit into the Freemasonries and such, and how this plays a factor, because this is like, I've got one more video I want to show you guys, because then you may understand a little bit deeper about what's going on. And I'm not saying that I understand everything that's going on, but this is all a show. It's all, like, whatever it is that you think that you're seeing, it's an act. Like, when people say the world is a stage, they really mean that. Okay, these people are just going wherever they go and just saying whatever they say. Like, hello? This wasn't prophetic. Donald Trump in trouble. This wasn't prophetic. They're telling you what's going to happen. They're following a freaking script. They are literally writing your life out before you and telling you that you have to accept it. I'm here to tell you, you do not have to accept it. And especially if you're thinking about joining any kind of like Freemasonry or occult or anything like that, or if you've dived into it at all, I've done a little bit of research into the occult myself. I've even tried to practice it at some points. And guess what? It was dark magic. It was legitimately dark magic. And there are certain blood sacrifices that can be made, not just necessarily in the Freemasonry, but there are blood sacrifices that people make in the occult. Okay, now let's hear what Christopher Lee here has to say about the occult. He says, you'll not only lose your mind, but you'll lose your soul. Why is this important? Because Christopher Lee here is an actor, right? Obviously, people probably know him most for Count Dooku in Star Wars. At least that's the way I know him most. But this is like, he's a very successful actor. He's been in a lot of different things. And let's just hear him out. Let's just hear what he has to say.
It's well known that you have a huge interest in the occult, one of the largest collections of books on that.
I don't have a huge collection. Somebody wrote I had 20,000 books. I'd have to live in a bath. I have maybe 4 or 5. I have The Devil Rides Out, first edition, signed to me by Dennis Wheatley. There's a book just come out about him called The Devil is a Gentleman. And I have met people who claimed to be Satanists.
Think about this. I don't want to interrupt him, but he claimed, like they're claiming this kind of stuff.
Who claimed to be involved with black magic, who claimed that they not only knew a lot about it, but as I said, I've certainly haven't been involved, and I warn all of you, never, never, never. You will not only lose your mind, you lose your soul. I don't have a big library in the account, no. I know, look, the internet and the media, if they can't think of something to do, they invent it. If they can't think of something to say, I mean, they...
And that is just so true.
Invent it. I don't know who thought that one up. Looks good in print, I suppose, but it's not true.
And that's exactly the point. Okay, that's exactly the point. If they can't think of something to say, they don't have a story, they're going to just make up something. Okay, that's just how these people operate. It's how the media operates nowadays, and you have to do your due diligence, and it's almost like a full-time job to sift through the information to ensure that you're actually getting proper information and that you're not just looking and seeing what's happening. Now, whenever we look at stories, what I would urge everybody to do is look at the facts. We have to look at the facts. We have to stay grounded in reality. Somebody asked me yesterday in a comment, like, why should we believe any of what these people say? And I said, well, I didn't necessarily say that we should believe them. I'm just saying that if we look at what the facts bear out, that's where we're going to be able to see the most growth. That's where we're going to be able to look at things in a deeper light, in a more simple light. Because God is simple. God is not complicated. God doesn't make things complicated, okay? So this is going to be more of a video for the deep divers that are more interested in this kind of stuff. So we'll see just how interested people are in this. If you did make it this far and you did watch all of this video, put in a comment, owls are not God. And those that know will know what I'm referring to, because that is supposedly what the people in power are worshiping, right? They're worshiping the owl. They're worshiping, look at Bohemian's Grove. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not going to put that necessarily in this video, but you do your own due diligence, you do your own research, look it up. And with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.